Thank you, Madam Deputy. Hafide, everyone. I have 12 o'clock on my clock. I'm going to call this meeting to order of March 11th. I'm here at GHURA's main office. All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Before we take roll call, right? We just laid Director Tapasnia to rest just yesterday. And so maybe we begin in his honor with a moment of silence again. Thank you, everyone. I just wanted to express, right, I know we were talking about it, but I wanted to express my sincere gratitude and thanks to all of the GHURA family. You know, a famous Archbishop said that the care by which we bury our dead is an expression of what they meant to us in life. And, you know, the care that GHURA has taken and the GHURA family has taken to show Director Tapasnia, former Director Tapasnia, respect and due honor, right? It has been tremendous. I know that there's still some other celebrations of his life that will be forthcoming, but I just wanted to make note of that, right? And sincerely thank all of Acting Director Napoli, right? And Acting Deputy Audrey and everybody in the GHURA staff, right? Thank you for all that you do. And thank you for supporting the family in their time of need. I'm sure they greatly appreciate it. And please also know, right, I'm sure I speak for the board, that if there's anything that we can do to support you, right, please do let us know. And so let's begin with roll call, right? I see Commissioner Guzman.
Here.
Right. Commissioner Isizaki.
Present.
Commissioner Nate.
Present.
Right. Commissioner Emily, I believe I saw you
Here.
also. There you are. Right. Commissioner Corpus.
Present.
Right. Thank you. And I believe that we also got a note that Commissioner Delia had an unexpected something and she won't be able to join us today. Right. And so we acknowledge that. We also want to acknowledge, as per last meeting, that our legal counsel also was expressing his regrets that he won't be able to join us today. So we'll make note of that. Right. We have a quorum, so let us proceed. Item number 2 on the agenda, the board meeting of public announcements. We have our first printing on Thursday, March 3rd. That is in your packets. The second printing on Wednesday, March 9th in your packets as well. I believe that they are there and all is in order. May I just get a second pair of eyes on that just to confirm that for me?
Confirmed.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Emilia. All is in order. Let us move on to the approval of board minutes from February 25th, 2002. If anybody has any corrections or anything to note. If I may, I have just 2 minor things. On section 5.1.5 under legacy projects, right? This is the legacy projects that that was mentioned of the projects that Director Tapasnia wanted to put on the table, right? And we're making record of it. If I could add on GHURA 2.0 on the 4th bullet point, one of the additions to that was the GHURA rebranding. And I think it's just important that we put these notes together so that for the future, we have some record of the things that he wanted to do. Also on page 4 of 6 on bullet 4, when I talk about the project for the MPA, on bullet 4, it says the report does not include actions and recommendations that will serve as a roadmap. That report specifically, we were making note of the report of the 2020 Guam Housing Assessment. So if we could just add that little note that clarifies that the report in that bullet is speaking about the 2020 GHURA housing, Guam housing assessment that's on GHURA's website. That's all I have. Anything else?
I'd just like to have a correction, if I may, Mr. Chair. On page 1 of 6, it has present via Zoom. It has you listed as chairman and me listed as the acting. Maybe we can't have an acting and a chair at the same time, so just make that correction. Audrey?
Yes, ma'am, I apologize for that.
No worries.
Any more discussion? Okay, hearing none, may I get a motion?
Motion to adopt the minutes.
Motion to adopt the minutes subject to corrections, please.
I moved to, I'll second that motion.
Okay. Any further discussions? All right, hearing none, all in favor? Okay,
Aye.
thank you very much. Any opposed? All right, hearing none, motion carries. Thank you very much. Item number 4, old business, right? The LIHTC 2021 application and panel results and recommendation as per the agenda of ongoing discussions, which references previous meetings, right? I believe we have.
Yes, Mr. Chair. I'd like to defer to Kathy Titano, who is on the Zoom. And if everybody can just take a look at the letter that she did send to my attention regarding this matter, I'll defer to Kathy.
Thank you very much. Ms. Kathy, welcome. Thank you. The floor is yours.
Hello. Thank you. Commissioners, back in November, when we were addressing the approval of the 2021 credits for projects, we brought to the board 2 projects, and but we brought to the board 2 projects, Summer Breeze and Summer Vista. Both projects met the minimum requirement for approval. However, we didn't have enough funding for both to be to receive full credits as requested. And the panel favored, the panel review favored Summer Breeze. Summer Breeze was the smaller project, so we still had funding available. It was put forth after, with that discussion. Well, excuse me, to back up, we also awarded additional credits for an ongoing project, Villa Del Mar 2, so that they could, which was approved. And so with that funding and the funding for the new project for Summer Breeze, we then had a balance remaining. And it was at the request and encouragement of Commissioner Ishizaki and the board at the time to go ahead and explore the opportunity to pursue the Summer Vista project, since it had also met minimum. We were lucky enough to have Mr. Ho Yun there at the time, who was able to chime in, and I see the gentleman is here as well today. Hi, Mr. Yun. We have put together then the synopsis of conversations we've been having with them, and areas that we had we had looked at to see if we couldn't maximize it. And what looks like they are able to do is with the funding that was available as the balance of the QAP qualified allocation plan that we put forth for November that was approved, and additional funding that we knew by that November that we had for 2022, we have enough funding that the project as amended could bring in 96 units. 96 of 128, which was their original proposal. Summer Vista originally proposed 128. That said, if additional funding becomes available, it is possible to go forth and meet the full 128 units. That additional funding, if it gets down to it, would come back from whatever congressional approval may come from what was intended as the Build Back Better initiative, which had some additional credits proposed for jurisdictions like Guam and all the jurisdictions, but had not been approved, was not there. So right now what we're looking for is to present this to you based on that request for this, and give you the figures as to how much money is available to do it, and that we did receive the revised amended packet that scaled it down to 96 units. None of the other provisions that were subject to the approval process for the selection criteria were changed, and I think we've met what the board intended for us to go back and look at Summer Vista.
Thank you very much.
You're
I'd like to
welcome.
open up to the board for any questions at this point.
I do have, Miss Kathy, you're doing such a great job, and I'm just impressed, and you better hang around for a while, Don't make any plans on going anywhere. But can you remind us of what the balance is? What was the balance and what is it? Is there's a new allotment?
Yes. No, in fact, at the end of 2021, for our 2021 QAP, the LIHTC allocation competition, there was $6.6 million available. On the letter we gave you, we showed that that of that 6.6, at the time we had it, we thought we would be able to keep $197,000 from an earlier allocation, but that ended up unfortunately going back into the national pool. We awarded Villa Del Mar 2 $336,000 of additional credits. At the time that was explained and discussed with the board for some of the challenges that they faced especially during COVID. Then you awarded, $3.6 million in credits for Summer Breeze, which is the Barragata project for 64 units. And that left $2.4 million. And I'm rounding. So $2.4 million of the 2021, and then $2.9 million is available under 2022. So the $5.4 million that we have available to Guam at this time is sufficient for 96 units, I believe. Yes, 96 units. They come in batches of 8 units, I think, in a bin or in a building. So for what it is 96 of 128 originally proposed.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm looking at the November. What is it? The LIHTC competition cycle review. And so Kathy, when your team met with Summer Vista, the original amount of tax credits was 6.5 for 128. And they've
Yes.
agreed to the 5.8 for 96, or can they do 128 for
No, five,
520?
it's 5.4. They're keeping all the per unit calculations. So
Okay.
it's sufficient for 96 units. Now, they've also expressed full willingness, if the funding was available, to go back in and finish off those 100 to the 128 maximum that they proposed for this cycle.
Okay. Well, that's 96 additional units that we didn't have last November, correct?
Right. To award them would be, it's clearly acknowledging the reality of what we are hearing, not just from within, not just with the challenges that we're hearing from Section 8, when it comes to how difficult it has been to find units of size sufficient for the market that's needed, but also units that just in general, I am hearing of escalations in rent that are displacing folks in ways that they've not had before. I mean, long-term units that have always been in a market that was accessible are now being priced out. People are being priced out, and we're recognizing that. And it was through the board's request that we go back and look. I mean, Summer Vista was by no means did not meet the mark. It did, and so it was an opportunity. It was just a matter of whether we could afford any of it or not. And frankly, the developer coming in to say, yes, we can do this.
So if I may, Kathy,
Yes, ma'am.
Monica, so what it was back in November was, it was actually 64 units of 128. So now it's 96 units of 128. So it's not 96 plus 96, right?
It's 64 units for Summer Breeze, and then a separate application on Vista for 128, and they're going to be able to build 96. So we're getting 96 and 64.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
Right. And then if I recall, the Summer Breeze got additional points because it was in a, can you explain that?
We recognizing that it is difficult to build in central Guam, finding land and whatnot else. No, excuse me, reverse. It was actually the preference because it was in a central area. We always try to encourage, I had that really backwards. We always try to encourage that development could happen somewhere other than the north and the central side. Southern is difficult. We do not by any means not acknowledge that there are just challenges. Some of those challenges are just to our clients, to the clients of this affordable housing, and that is the jobs are available in the north and the central, and so it was just a more preferable opportunity. It was the opportunity to build in Barragata. We got that opportunity to build in Totu for a couple of projects in recent years, and Cortec, who is the owner developer group for all the summer units, has a piece of property on NCS, and that's where Summer Vista is proposed. They're also running 399 units of summer town housing in Dededo, backside Alada Avenue. So, I mean, it's a lot of housing, but it has impacts to schools and traffic and other aspects. So that's why we look to other areas as much as we can.
Are there any other questions from the board? Do we have an anticipated timeline on it? Should this project, should this be awarded? When, I know we're saying that we need housing, but how soon do some of these come online and available to our market?
They get an award of funds and are required to have the units, I want to say online within 2 years. Very strict deadlines because of their tax credit connect, the tax credit aspect of it. It's extremely managed, and they do a very good job of managing it. All of our projects so far.
Okay. Any other questions from the board, from Ms. Kathy?
Questions on our side, Chairman. Thank you, Kathy, for your work and your thorough explanation of the process. It's greatly appreciated. Thank you.
You are welcome, Commissioner.
So is it my understanding that this is on the floor for a vote?
It is.
It is.
It is. Your approval for this is required.
Okay.
I have a question. So we're going to utilize our 2022 for this, right? 2023 allocation normally comes out when?
We know about it towards the end of 22.
Oh, okay, okay.
Mhm.
All right, and then if that does come out, that would be 1 year into the construction of Vista, correct?
Yes. Well, we thought about if you're thinking about what I think it is, and that is the balance of funding necessary to complete 128, all 128. We weren't looking at 2023. We were looking at the possible windfall of an additional allocation out of cycle based on some of the thoughts proposed under the administration, the Biden administration's Build Back Better initiative. Even though the full package didn't go through, there is advocacy and an opportunity that it could still make its way into legislation in some smaller form and maybe more targeted form just for tax credits. And if that's the case, then we could go back and maybe use those funds to pursue with the developer to complete 128. Yeah, we weren't looking at forward allocations of 2023 or anything like that at this time.
Okay, because if my math is correct, it's just a little over $1 million, right?
Yeah.
The difference.
Yeah. Well,
So
it's close.
maybe we
It's
can
close.
find maybe we can find that money somewhere else, correct?
You know what? It's entirely possible. By the letter that I sent you, you'll know that we were honestly looking at possibly matching some, not matching. That's too precise a word, but for finding some sort of opportunity to use Home American Rescue Plan allocated funding for the island for a project that involved the tax credits. And we were fortunate that there's lots of examples of using home funds with a tax credit project. It isn't something we are used to. It is because our home program allocations are on the smaller side, far smaller. And so we do have a rather large, we have $3.8 million available to us under a Home American Rescue Plan allocation. But home has many requirements, and this is new territory for us. So for the Vista project, it is not something that I'm comfortable at this time to pursue, but we do have another cycle coming up, and the timing might be better for that sort of thing. So it's simply a matter of time. We will find something to use our home ARP monies on.
Perfect. Thank you. Might I ask that has legal reviewed this?
Has legal reviewed it?
Okay.
No, legal has not specifically reviewed the revised application. We have, because we've looked at it against the original selection criteria, the points and those points that they adhere to all of the same requests and requirements and their application put forth, but for the fact that it was going to be fewer units and a smaller dollar amount, and that didn't mean more expensive units in any way. It was they stayed to the line.
Perfect. Thank you, Kathy.
You're welcome.
If I may, right? Just a quick question also, right? So on that note, for clarification's sake, right? So this is a 2021, right? Where this was done. We're also, because we had the additional funding for 2022, we added that in, which makes and brings the opportunity for the 96, right? Hopefully 128, but the 96 closer to reality.
Mhm.
And since this is a new cycle, right, and a new funding source for a different year, I understand that all of the process was followed. The points were still there. Nothing else changed. But just for the sake of clarification, because this is a different year in funding, is that still is that approval process still legitimate to carry it over? If I'm making sense.
Yes, you are. There is nothing to preclude you from going ahead and utilizing available 2022 funds to further the project, which then is awarded as of it was the 2020-2021 funding, so we would approve it there, and then it would carry on to provide them additional funding to get them through the 2022 monies.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
And just for clarification, and I think you said it, but just for clarification as well, this is project 2, right? 2 of 2. Project 1 and was already funded. This is project 2 of 2 that was where Commissioner Izaki was saying that, you know, we should try to get going, right? And this is the reality of that in shorter form, but this is the reality of that project 2.
Yes, I mean, we could the board, or could GHURA chose not to wait another year before going out for applications, which we would probably be starting now.
Right.
When a perfectly viable project was there, it was at the request of the board to go back in and see what could be done to make things move.
Understood. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Any other questions from the board?
I just wanted to ask you, is there a deadline on this? I mean, I kind of would feel more comfortable if legal could look this over and maybe we can vote on next meeting.
Not so much a timeline. No, I mean, what I'm trying to think of council. I would never dissuade you folks from waiting on council. Our process has always been that the panel review would put forth their scores, and we would make sure that they hit the minimum, and we've checked on all of that. We have checked on all of that, but if you'd like to run it past council, we will then provide it to council. If you wish to do that. I'm trying to think, council doesn't weigh in, but council does take a look at all the other documents when it's time for execution of agreements with the developers selected, whether it's Breeze or Vista or all of them. Yeah, so there is to your question, Commissioner Corpus, there's not a deadline to meet. It just will it's just an impact to the project start. Not just, it is an impact. I don't want to diminish it. I have the developers are here. They know what their impacts are. I mean, every day means has a meaning to them.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any other
Hi, Chair.
question?
I have a question.
Commissioner Nate.
Hi, Kathy.
Hi.
Am I coming in clearly?
Yes.
Good. Okay, so in addition to Quartec and Ironwood, were there any other developers alongside of them who applied or were looking to apply that met the criteria?
No, we had 2 applications,
Just two
and they were
applications.
both summer under the summer umbrella projects.
Summer umbrella. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
Ironwood was a previously awarded and approved project that needed additionals.
Additional
And I
funding.
have to tell you, yes, just
Yeah.
the additional funding. And I'll tell you, there aren't a lot of folks who come to the door who have the wherewithal and the depth to do it. I
Absolutely.
did, however, just this week receive an email from someone from an entity that was interested, and I thought that was new.
Yeah.
We will be talking to new folks.
Okay, great. Wonderful. Just curious, since this is our first time.
Yes.
Yeah, so we're just acclimating as far as the causality and history of
Yes.
life. Yeah. So again, thank you for bringing us up to speed and acclimating us to the currently and presently where we stand. And yeah, just wondering, just getting our history and just getting things in order. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Any other discussion or questions for Ms. Kathy? Okay. Hearing none. So I believe that there's 2 options on the board, on the table for the board. There's a request for endorsement or approval of to proceed, or we can push this for a vote next time to have legal look at it. But if I'm understanding it correctly, Ms. Kathy, even if the board does approve it, legal would still have to look at it one last time before the execution of this with the developers. Is that correct?
Legal will review anything that requires signature of the. Oh, I'm sorry, it raises my hand. I'm sorry about that. Legal will review anything that requires the signature of the executives, and I don't believe there are board signatures on this one, but for our acting director to sign anything. But it is. I don't want to diminish it. It is the board's approval that is that's the catalyst to getting us going, and then we would start the ball rolling. If legal found any issues, I don't doubt that he would bring it up to you.
Mr. Chair, I request to move on this motion with the consideration of legal getting the opportunity to review all of this and allowing the board members to reiterate what we just discussed today and making sure that we all reached a consensus before finalizing.
We have a motion by Commissioner Nate. Do I hear a second?
I'm sorry, my volume was a little low. Can we, do you mind repeating that motion?
Sure, absolutely. Commissioner, may you repeat the motion, please?
Yes, I move to approve under the notion that legal gets final review and we, as the board, gets final, we reach a consensus down the line under the context that our legal and the board is on the same page.
Thank you, Commissioner. I'll second that motion.
Thank you. Thank you, Mrs. Guzman. Appreciate that.
Thank you, Commissioner Guzman, for seconding the motion. Call for discussion. Any further discussion on this motion? Okay, hearing none, may I call for the vote? All commissioners in favor of this motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Raise your hand.
Aye.
I,
Any opposed?
None.
Right. Okay, thank you very much. Hearing none, motion passes. Thank you, commissioners. Moving on to item number 5, correspondence and reports. We have our MIS team from GHURA in-house. All right, thank you very much for joining us.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, Chairman and board members.
Ms. Julie, the floor is yours.
Okay. Okay, good afternoon, everybody. I forwarded the package information, which actually came from the AG's office, along with some prepositional notes that's in regards to open government law for Guam. These notes that were provided, what I'm reporting on pertains only to the interactions that MIS deals with. There's a lot of other items I know on the executive and admin side that they need to make sure are taken care of as far as reporting and making sure that there's compliance. It's basically the purpose of the open government law is to ensure that all government agencies are compliant as far as disclosing information so that the public knows basically what's going on with each agency as they meet. I have the document, the 12-page document that I included that came from the actual package from the AG's office. The document from the AG's office was actually 66 pages. If you like, I could have that forwarded to you as well. But I thought I would streamline it as far as only on the portions that MIS has to interact with. If you had a chance to look at the actual document that was provided, it starts out with everything that you need to know about open government, the open government law in Guam. This document actually came out in December of 2021. But prior to that, there was the Vigilance Committee with the President, Lee Weber, who was trying to also make sure that the agencies were compliant as far as disclosure. I do know that there was an article that was printed, I believe, in the Post earlier this year that they actually listed those agencies that were non-compliant, and we were very glad and proud to say that we were not on that list at that time, nor have we ever been on a list since then. But looking at the second page of the document, it talks about the open government law and the policy. And again, it's basically to make sure that that the people are informed so that they can retain control over the instruments that they have created. So that's kind of a heavy duty statement, but going further onto the third page of actual use of video teleconferencing at the meetings. It talks about how the board and the commission members may participate in regular and special meetings via teleconferencing. Originally, we started the teleconferencing trying out with the go-to meetings, but we realized that for feasibility issues, Zoom was just so much better. So as far as meeting the requirements for teleconferencing. We do have Zoom, as you know, in place. It is listed on the agenda. It is listed in the board packages. So it does show that we do have that. And if you are interested in participating as an outsider, you can always get hold of Audrey or someone here at the agency to be included in the Zoom meetings. But it also talks about the participation that it's in another one, but it talks about the participation by the board members that has to be included in the agenda and board packets as well. I'm so sorry, in the board packets, but I'll get into that one soon. On the third page, it talks about the agency homepage. GHURA has had a homepage for over 10 plus years. With the board announcements, the agendas, the events that have all been advertised on our homepage and are still available for review as of January 2017. So for accountability and tracking, and for whatever reason, if we needed to go back to it, we have even further back. But if you wanted to currently look at our webpage, we still have items as of January 2017 listed on our homepage. The next slide was dealing with the use of video live streaming at meetings, which is now mandatory. We recently set this up. It's automatic part of this Zoom meeting. Once you execute Zoom, it automatically starts the live stream. So we are live with YouTube right now. We do have a GHURA channel. Once the meeting has ended, usually within 5 minutes, the recording is placed for historical purposes on the GHURA channel as well. So we are live stream YouTube right now. Regarding public notices, the details and in general, on the public notices, there is a website that was created. I believe the owners of the website is OTEC, Office of Technology. And we had a little bit of a stumbling block as far as getting ourselves recognized with OTEC. I know that a couple of us have sent emails trying to establish our relationship with them, phone calls. We even had staff go there to physically find them. This is how much we wanted to make sure we were in compliance. We finally have established our relationship with them, of which now we are able to post on the Guam Public Notices portal all our events, board meetings and whatnot that's coming up. That's another area that we are required to report to. And then we have the nice picture of the governor and the lieutenant governor. Compliance with Americans with Disabilities Act. GHURA has always abided by Title II of the ADA Act in relation to our website. Our vendor, who is Guam Webs, is on top of the requirements set by ADA, as well as the web content accessibility guidelines. There are external agencies that set the guidelines on how our website should react to those with disabilities, whether it comes out in text, whether it comes out in audio, whether it's brighter, whether the fonts are larger. There's a whole lot of requirements that the website is required to abide by for those with the disabilities, and we have maintained that compliance with them. We also have our TTY number advertised, as well as our ADA coordinator's name and phone number, which is also a requirement that they've asked for. Source of payment for government notices for the website is also required. We have had it advertised on the agenda, on the board packages, on the website, that it is funded by GHURA, or paid by GHURA funds. I know I don't know if Audrey or Liz, you were going to talk to the chairman a little bit further about whether that would suffice. I think this was discussed previously with our executive director, Defunto Ray Topashnia. Liz or Audrey, did you want to chime in on that?
Yeah, I did not get a chance to talk to the chairman about that, but because we have so many different funds with GURA and everything is code related, I feel that just indicating that it's paid for by GURA funds is sufficient. Otherwise, we're really going to be, having to list many different funds, if it's COCC related, if it's public housing, if it's Section 8, if it's, and I feel if anything, it would be the auditor that would be asking us, okay, what coding did you use for this, or what coding did you use for that? That's my take with regard to our indicating how our, how it's paid. It's paid for by GURA funds, and we have so many different funds. So I don't know if anybody else has any concerns or issues with that, but I feel paid for by GURA funds is sufficient. That's all it says, is that it has to say what government funds and the name of the agency, and the name of our agency is GURA. So GURA funds is what pays for it.
Okay, so unless there wasn't any other comment on that one, I'll go forward with the post-meeting requirements. One of the things that it also says we are responsible to do is to make sure that our audio is provided to the OPA. We have been in compliant with that, as well as recently, we're compliant with getting our board packages, our final board packages sent to the speaker and to the governor as well. That one is fairly recent. That was one of our newer requirements. So once again, the audio is sent to the OPA, as well as our final board packages sent out to the governor and speaker. And that's listed as far as the Guam legislature messages and communications. So that one is taken care of as well. There was one area that I missed on one of the slides, but it does talk about when there is a board meeting that the board members must make sure that they send some kind of correspondence to the chairman that they will be participating in the board meeting by way of teleconferencing. I believe Audrey is setting up some kind of schema on how we can make it easy for the board members. Maybe it would be a checklist or whatnot. But once again, this is something new. I'm not here to decide how the board or the chairman will conduct business, but it is my responsibility to make sure that anything dealing with teleconferencing, we make sure we stay compliant. So it's just an informational for me to let you know that I believe, Audrey, right? If you wanted to chime in, that you're setting up some kind of reporting requirement. Again, anytime that you are going to be attending the media by way of teleconferencing, it has to be requested and sent supposedly to our chairman.
Right,
And it is part of the board package.
right, and just to reiterate, this is something new again, and because of that, I've had to reach out to the chairman for guidance on this. And so I've discussed with him that I'd like to develop a template of sorts for the commissioners to, make it convenient for the commissioners to just decide whether they're going to, or let the chairman know whether they'd be attending the meetings via Zoom or in person, and then a place for the chairman to sign off on if approved. So, and then of course we have to add that to the board minutes every single time. So that is, I will be keeping the commissioners, chairman, updated with regard to that. So thank you.
Okay, and then finally, the last page of the documents that I had submitted talks about email communications are subject to FOIA. So we're very familiar with FOIAs. We're very familiar with subpoenas. So we know that a lot of times it'll ask for any correspondence, of which we do include email. But now this one goes a little bit further, and this is coming from the subcommittees that were dealing with open government and the Sunshine Law. And what it's talking about, though, is that anything that's subject to a FOIA electronic means, meaning electronic mail or text messaging, are presumed to be subject to the Freedom of Information Act. So I believe we would want to get legal counsel possibly in on this for his opinion. But now it's talking about if you're using your own private device and you are texting something that might be FOIA'd, I don't know what would they confiscate your phone? I don't know how that's done, but we have had FBI in here before. They did confiscate hard drives. I don't know how this would affect us doing text messaging that now could be subject to a FOIA. But definitely up for legal counsel opinion. So that kind of concludes everything, unless there's any questions that you might have. Again, this open law seems to be a very popular subject lately within the last year by the Vigilance Committee. We see that the Vigilance Committee is now having issues going at the Attorney General. So we're just making sure that we keep our house compliant, and that's our job here.
Julie, thank you so much for your presentation, right? And please, I do know that you have a small team with such a big responsibility, right? So please extend my sincere thanks to the team for being proactive, right? And keeping us above board. This is an ongoing process. As things change and as things evolve, we will always have to adapt to the way that the laws and policies are shifting. So thank you for trying to be on top of this and making sure that we're above board. Does any of the commissioners have any comments or any questions for Ms. Julie? Yes.
I do. Julie, this Vigilance Committee, is it a political action committee? Is it a government committee? What kind of committee, do you know?
For the most part, it's with Lee Weber and I think Mr. Senator Klitsky. I think they're more like a watchdog to make sure that the government agencies are being transparent. I know that's always been an issue, making sure everyone has open government. So I'm very sure they're more of a watchdog, a political watchdog group.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I did see the article that you were talking about that listed all of the agencies that were not in compliance before I even got on the board. And
Yeah.
I made sure that GHURA's name was not on that. And so you're
Yeah,
right.
that was the article
That
dated
was the
March.
first thing I was looking for.
Yeah, actually that was, yeah, I saw that too. We make sure we do our best, and keeping us out of the bad press is our job.
Right. Appreciate it. Is there any other questions from or comments from the other commissioners?
I have one. So Ms.
Sure.
Julie, you mentioned email, personal email, and then text messages. I guess I would presume that because we use WhatsApp is also included there, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. One thing about WhatsApp is that it is not secure, or I know that months ago it was not considered secure, and that many people were moving over to the Signal. That seems to be a bit more secure for sending messages back and forth. But we were giving our own staff guidance that whenever you're using WhatsApp, to try not to use something that is extremely identifiable. For example, you don't want to use first and first and last names, if you can use initials or whatever when you're discussing about somebody. Definitely you don't want to talk about, working or executive sessions, that someone might come after us for not being in compliance with. But yeah, it's kind of scary now, because now they're talking about your personal devices that you're using, in order to conduct business.
Well, I guess the way around that, I mean, it's going to require extra cost. I mean, the key employees, I mean, the administration, the commission members, maybe we need separate phones, official phones. So, but I don't know. It's just, I think I throw that out for consideration.
Correct.
So if I may, Commissioner, that's why I asked Julie, I said, let's follow up with legal counsel and talk about what is considered, kind of like risky, or, what is legit on your personal devices, right? That won't have us risking having our personal devices confiscated per the open government law. So we will get back to everyone at a later date regarding that, gray area question. Okay.
All righty. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I mean, I think the rule of thumb, right, is that, and we do have a WhatsApp chat, and that Commissioner Sasaki acknowledged. And I think the rule of thumb, right, is that those forums are used for informational sake only, right? We're using those to send out announcements and remind people of meetings and use that for informational sake and announcement purposes. They're not to be used for any deliberation. Those should be always in public and in meetings, or to garner any sentiment about those decisions, right? And I think that's just a general rule of thumb, regardless of mobile devices and social media. And if we just carry that over also into the other platforms, we should be above board. But yeah, pending legal, and it's great to get legal involved so that we get their official take on it and put that out there. But I do know, since we have created the chat, it's only been for informational sake and announcements, and if we keep it that way and keep all decisions or any and all deliberations right on the public fronts, such as our meetings, then we should be okay and in compliance with all of that. Any other questions or comments from our board? Okay, hearing none, right? Again, please express our deepest thanks, right, to your office and your department for keeping us above board. Thank you for your due diligence, right, and being proactive. And if there's anything else, right, please come back and see us. And we look forward to more updates in the future, right? Thank you, Ms. Yu.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Board of Commissioners.
Can
Okay,
I add
moving.
one more thing?
Oh, sure, absolutely.
Sure. In Ray fashion, right? He always liked to brag about how, if you notice, I think our government agencies are always, their MIS is always, their information system is always going down. Well, I'm happy to say, I'm going to knock on wood, that we don't have those problems with our MIS division. We are always up. Right, Julie?
We try our best with the small division we have.
Crew.
Thank
Right.
you. Thank you, Executive
Thank
Director.
you so much.
Do you guys have your own server?
We have 10
Okay, so you're not connected to servers.
we do not connect to, no
Okay.
offense, but we do not connect to the Gov Guam Wide Area Network. We
Okay.
disengaged from, we divorced from them about maybe 18 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, but we do remain compliant with whatever guidelines they have.
And poor Julie, she maintains a server separately just for CPD, for my division.
Yes, I see Rebecca and Mark is there.
Oh.
Yeah,
Yes.
Rebecca, hi, Mark. Okay, thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Mhm.
Right. And then we're moving on to item number 6, general discussion and any announcements. I only see one on the agenda, which is our next schedule. But before we talk about our next proposed meeting, any other announcements or any other general discussions from the body?
I think I just want to put out a reminder to the board of 2 tributes to the late Director Ray. The first one is the one that Adelup is doing on Monday, March 14th at 5:30 p.m. at the Adelup Lawn and Stage area. Everyone is invited to that. And then the second announcement is GHURA's tribute to Director Ray, and that's on Wednesday, March 16th at 10 a.m. at the St. Jude Church. Please, we hope you attend, because we have some very special, things to do in honor of Director Ray.
St. Jude?
That's correct.
Yes, the church. Special, whatchamacallit? They gave us special consideration instead of using Mayor Hoffman, because we're asking Mayor Hoffman if he had a big video screen, etc. He says, why don't we ask St. Jude Church? And we had no idea that we could ask that. So they will be removing the Blessed Sacrament for that. And sure enough, Father Patrick approved it. So we are fortunate to be given that opportunity to have it there.
Okay, thank you very much. Any other announcements? Okay. Hearing none, the stated announcement on the agenda is the proposed scheduled board meeting of Friday, April 8th, 2022 at 12 p.m., which is the second Friday of April, right? I believe. Please mark your calendars. And if there's nothing else, right? Can I go to motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn, Mr. Chair.
Right. Thank you, Commissioner Zaki. May I get a second?
I'll second that.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner Nate. Any opposed? Okay. Hearing none, I call this meeting at 1:03 p.m. Thank you, everybody, for coming. Please be safe, and we hope to see you at some of these tributes, right, for Director Ray. Thank you so much.
Tomorrow.
Viva tomorrow.
Viva Mes Chamorro. That's right.
Viva,
Viva Mas.
have a good weekend.
You too. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.